Welcome everyone to the first Anywhere Uni live podcast. And we're hosting tonight one of my ex-students from a few years ago now, Nathan, who is kindly accepted to join our live tonight. So Nathan, if you want to just introduce yourself briefly, kind of, and when we met and where we met, and then how that journey from there, where did you go and what happened?
Sure. Well, hello, I'm Nathan Kellerhals, and I'm Swiss-German originally. I was born in Switzerland. I have an Italian mother, so I'm also half Italian.
Very international.
Very international. I grew up in a very international household, learning, 4 languages basically: French, German, English, Italian. And well, the first place I met you was in London, actually, in the International School of Hillingdon.
Yes.
And yeah, that was really a nice time, I would say, which started, I guess, my journey where I am now in Amsterdam, working now for 2 years as a market researcher. And yeah, it's been a really strong and long journey, and I'm really happy I'm here also talking to you again after so many years.
Yeah, so nice to see you after so many years. Like we actually haven't seen each other since what,
2018, basically graduation.
When you graduated.
Yeah.
So you studied the IB Diploma, right?
That's it.
Full IB DP student. You survived it.
I survived.
You know, and so now looking back at that time and how much you studied then, because we often have IB students, just it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
How would you say the transition was to university in terms of the workload compared to the IB?
Yeah, it was something I've been reflecting over the years, how IB has helped me transition. Honestly, the workload matched, I would say, in the first years, the IB program. At my university, the University of Amsterdam, we were doing exams on a monthly basis. So this was different to the IB, where we had exams after the first semester and at the end of the second. We had to study almost every day. And there was a big emphasis on self-study, like there was in the IB. So I think the preparation was definitely there, especially from a writing perspective. The IB really helped me write better and think more critically. And that was a really necessary tool, I think, in later work life, but even university.
And did you see a difference maybe with some friends that you met when you arrived to the University of Amsterdam that maybe came from different academic background? Did you see some struggle more than others based on where they came from, or?
Definitely in the way of working, there were some students that were in public schools that maybe didn't have such an emphasis on self-study, but really more working collaboratively in projects and stuff. And so they probably had different skills, but I think the IB was a really refined experience to get really at the core processes of working critically and independently.
We have a lot of French-backed students on our platform, and I think it's very similar in that respect. I think our students studying the French back also have a lot of writing, a lot of work, and I think that IB and French-backed students are kind of experience a similar transition when they get to university. All right, great. So what did you study at the undergraduate level, and then how did you move on to a master's degree, and what did you choose and why?
Well, you know this process as well, how I came into psychology, which was my undergraduate study at UofA. Well, the first reasoning for me was really I wanted to open my doors. I wanted to keep as many opportunities open for a later career, as much open as possible. And for me, psychology was that path because it was a science, but it was human related and it was also business related. It could have been therapeutically related. So I had lots of options in mind, but
you didn't know yet if you wanted to become a clinical psychologist or if you want to use psychology as some, background for something else.
Yeah, I was totally undecided on where my career was at that point, leaving high school. And psychology was the best way to stay comfortable and have as many opportunities as possible.
You thought understanding other humans can only be a strength,
right? Yeah, and it is. It definitely is.
It is. I study psychology as well, so you don't need to convince me.
Yeah. And so, no, that led to 3 years of really tough studying and decision making as well, and on who I want to be in my career. And then I took the master's in social influence.
So, that's very interesting. I'm very intrigued about that master's in social influence. It's definitely not something you can study at the undergraduate level, social influence, but it's very cool. It's very cool. It sounds like a very cool master's. When we're talking about studying psychology, were you surprised? Was it what you expected? Was it more scientific, more math heavy, more how compared to the image you had of psychology before joining and the reality? What was the...
So I can compare it to high school. Before that, in high school was reading.
You studied psychology in high school?
I studied higher level psychology.
Can you give us your higher levels so it's clear for the audience?
I did higher level psychology, higher level language and literature, a higher level film, and then standard levels as well. Math. I did ESS, so environmental sciences, math, and Spanish. Yes, right. Exactly.
Okay. So
psychology, it was... In high school, it was very, reading about specific studies themselves and trying to memorize the studies and specific methodologies that were in there. However, in the bachelor's, it was really a focus on writing different parts of a research report and becoming familiar with the research process itself, which was absolutely integral for the thesis, of course, and then the master's.
You became the researcher.
I became the researcher. That was what they were trying to do in that bachelor's, with the idea of going to the master's. So the bachelor really depended on you later doing a master's, kind of.
And was it in terms of would you say that to study psychology, you need to be very scientific in terms of, or not necessarily? Because you didn't study pure biology or pure chemistry or physics. You didn't take math higher level.
No.
And you survived.
And I survived, yeah.
So what would you say? Would you say that the scientific-minded students had an advantage on you? You had to work a bit extra hard, or was it okay?
I mean, so math was never my strong suit in high school, even though I graduated with, I think it was a 6 or a 5 in math standard level. In the university, it was always just statistics based, and I was still challenged at a mathematical level, but it wasn't something that I had to think about every day.
Quite applied.
It was very applied, very applied. So no, I wouldn't say you have to be very overtly scientific to do a psychology degree. You have to have your interests open. So because at some point, you're doing modules on neuroscience or you're doing modules on therapy. So you need to really be flexible when you do psychology.
You didn't specialize at any point. Your bachelor degree was quite a broad 3-year.
Exactly. It was very broad. And there is at some point 1 semester where you specialize either in social, therapy, neuroscience, research methods. So there is an aspect of specialization at the very end. But most of the bachelor is very open. Yeah.
Did they, at the University of Amsterdam specifically, did they encourage you to do internships? Was it mandatory? Was it just if you wanted to? How much did you do during your bachelor degree?
During the bachelor's, there was opportunities for exchanges specifically.
Okay. So in another university?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you?
I did not. No? I did not. Internships, I don't recall them being offered during the bachelor's, but during the master's, they're mandatory.
Okay.
And so I did an internship during my master's degree.
All right.
But during the bachelor's, I did not. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some countries where you can get this kind of experience right away at the bachelor level, but you could have done an exchange. It would have been a semester, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. It would have been a semester exchange. I've heard some friends, they went to Japan for a bit, which was really interesting. I think they did some neuroscience reporting there as well.
And then that doesn't add up a semester to your bachelor. It's still within the 3 years.
It's part of the 3 years. Yeah. So it's part of you still get the credits for it. Yeah. But you have to apply for it. There's a process at the University of Amsterdam. I don't recall it because I wasn't.
Did you even apply for it?
No, I did not.
Okay, so it's not that didn't have space for you. If you wanted to, you think you could have?
maybe.
gone, or were they actually selecting only a few students that were at the top?
I don't remember how they were selecting, but there was a selection process.
Yeah.
I don't remember how, because
that didn't interest you at the time.
No. Yeah.
All right. And so before we talk about your masters, did you know the Netherlands before moving here? You live here before?
I knew it only from my experiences in high school. So on trips for MUN or
cool.
For
Model United Nation for
Model United
you probably
Nations.
all know what it is because it's probably offered in your school. Okay, so you went there for the MUN at The Hague, I guess.
At The Hague. So not Amsterdam. I actually never knew about Amsterdam until 2018.
So why did you choose Amsterdam?
Why did I choose Amsterdam? Well, it came to me when I graduated. I went on a summer trip. So actually, after I had made my decision to go to the university, I went to see it. But for me, one of the main factors was a change of urban scenery. London, where the high school I was in, was too big for me. I
agree.
It was way too big, and it started getting too crowded for me, and I wanted really a change to a point where I could meet my friends within 20 minutes, or I could cycle to university.
I think that's a big point. And actually, we have an example just tonight, because we're in a school right now, and that school has 2 campuses. And I didn't realize they had 2 campuses, so I sent Nathan the address of the other campus. And I was like, oh my God, no, we're gonna miss the live. And then he was like, oh, don't worry, it's Amsterdam, so I can just rent a scooter?
Yeah, in this case, a scooter. My bike is in the shop.
Okay, so everyone is biking here.
Yeah.
You grab the scooter that you can rent easily, and in 10 minutes, he was here. In London, you really kind of live in your neighborhood, and the city is so big. There is some people that even if you know them, you're not going to see them if they're not within 20-minute distance, which is not covering the entire city.
No,
it's massive.
It's incredible. I mean, the tube is super crowded all the time. No.
Because Amsterdam is not a small city.
It's not. It's big. It's just very well connected, I think. The tram system works perfectly, the metro and the trains, but the cycling is the best part, and everything is flat, and you have roads just for bicycles.
Yes.
So no, it's really comfortable. The size was the factor. Other reasons, the fact that I wanted to be in a liberal place. I thought London, it's a very liberal and international place, but I thought Amsterdam was very up and coming as well. Lots of innovation happening here, lots of businesses moving here to Amsterdam. I just thought the future is very bright here. So that's one of the main reasons
It was a good insight because you stayed there, so I did like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and you're still here today.
Yeah.
So how was that transition as an international student coming into that? It's still a big city. You didn't have family here.
No.
Didn't have friends specifically. No. I don't remember other students from your cohort going to.
There was one.
To another one. Yeah. Another uni, no?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So not my uni, but no, the process to move was difficult, I would have to say. But I think that's with every new place you move to, especially for new university students. The hardest thing was finding a suitable accommodation. And I think that
was my next question, because that's the big deal in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's accommodation
is a massive problem.
Yeah, and after 5 years of living here, it's at the back of my mind than it was before. It was difficult because I wasn't Dutch. I didn't speak the language. Most communications, at least then, were in Dutch. I think now in the last years, they've made progress to make it more accessible for internationals. I specifically got my accommodation through the university.
Okay.
So that was a good, really helpful point. It was difficult, that in itself.
Was it a student housing or was it just a flat kind of?
It was a student accommodation, but it wasn't by the university. It was a third party. It was the student hotel, it was called.
So was the only student in there?
It was only.
You make friends?
This is where I met my girlfriend. This is where I met some of my best friends.
You met that girlfriend in first year?
Yeah, in first year.
And you're still together today?
Yes.
I mean, isn't that beautiful? Like, let's go to the Netherlands.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
That's great.
So no, it was a real plus. I would say I was lucky to have found an accommodation so quick. I know many people who have a different story and
staying in like youth hotels for months and
so it's to that you just have to be prepared and you have to do your research before moving to the Netherlands. look at all the options as much as you can. And yeah, be prepared for some strain, for some tension. But over time, you get used to it. You know the right people, you know the right processes. The administration was a bit difficult as well, registering yourself to the city. But otherwise, the transition was very smooth from a social aspect.
Yeah.
The people are very welcoming. Everybody speaks English in the Netherlands and in Amsterdam.
Your program was fully in English?
My program was fully in English.
Was it only international students or also the...
No, there was a lot of Dutch students as well.
Did you make Dutch friends as well?
I did, especially when I joined the Psychology Association. There was a lot of Dutch-speaking students there. The year I did it, it was the first year it was offered in English.
Okay.
So it was also a big change for the university. But there was a lot of Dutch students as a result of that. And yeah, I think there was lots of programs by the university to try to merge them, which was really nice.
Because it's not the same in every country. In some countries, we know international students struggle to make friends with the locals.
Yeah.
But so you feel like here, maybe you also had Dutch people from all over the Netherlands coming to Amsterdam, maybe.
No, exactly.
It was new for them as well, right?
That's why, most people I knew, most Dutch people I knew, they really came from outside of Amsterdam, and Amsterdam as a whole was new for them. But yeah, of course, there was some groups of Dutch people and groups of internationals, but there are ways to talk to Dutch people. They aren't just closed.
That's good.
But learning Dutch, I have to say, is important at some point.
Do you speak a bit of Dutch now?
I speak Dutch now.
I'm not going to try you because I don't speak a word. But
it took a while. At some point, I was incentivized to do it for work options as well. It helps definitely also to connect on a deeper level with Dutch people.
So that you care and not just a tourist. And,
exactly. Yeah.
All right.
But at the beginning, I wouldn't say it matters.
It matters,
No.
Okay. What about, because I don't know, I think it was probably there in your program as well. In the end of the first year in the Netherlands is something called the Binding Study Advice, the BSA.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you have like a percentage of students that are not going to pass the first year. Would you say that it's a lot of pressure during your first year, that BSA, or is it, if you work regularly, shouldn't be a problem? Like, what would you...
Look, it's a difficult topic because in my first year, and this was the first year it was introduced in English, it was new as well. I think around 60% had to leave after the first year. It was a very...
Because usually it's like 10 to 15, 20 max.
No. We had, I think, 600 students.
You're a survivor.
I'm a survivor, yeah.
Amazing.
And there is stories, there is lots of stories.
Oh my God, okay, it's probably not that kind of stuff now.
I really don't think so. I don't think so. I think it was very strict. So there was definitely pressure, I have to say.
60% out.
It was new, like I said before, to do exams every month. People were dropping out just because of that, because of the fact they had
rhythm.
The rhythm was too much. They had to study every week, every day, the whole day, basically.
Did you study like that?
I studied like that. And at some point, I became the person that wrote summaries as well, course summaries. And these were ways to share knowledge
with other students.
That's nice. So people were collaborating.
So you didn't feel like a competition?
No, there was no competition.
It's not like that students can take my place. It's not like...
No. It was definitely none of that. It was really trying to get across the line together. The exams were hard, and the lecturers made sure to make them hard. I think that was the point. I failed a few courses. There were options to retake them in the next years as well. So yeah, it happens for sure. But in this program specifically, you have to stay on the ball. That was the key, I think.
And I mean, I think if you join any program that's fully new, it's like first year, you have all these exciting programs that are popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bit of an experience that's going to be maybe a bit different. Because the program is not quite stable. They're adjusting.
I agree.
So that's kind of normal.
I agree. It's not something that is a University of Amsterdam norm. Not at all.
All right.
My girlfriend studied media and there was no such thing. I mean, this course has been established for years.
But I mean, congrats, because I mean, you're one of the few.
Thanks. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that master's. So you went through your bachelor degree, didn't quite know what you wanted to do afterwards. Did you think about doing your master's somewhere else than Amsterdam? Did you right away knew you wanted to stay here? Did you stay just for the girlfriend, or did you stay for the program? What was your decision-making process there?
Definitely, there was an idea of going abroad. There was an idea of taking a gap year because I hadn't done that. There was the idea of just staying and continuing the flow, and I think that is where I landed, just staying in the same mode of, okay, I live in this city, I know where the universities and the people are, my girlfriend is here, my friends are here. It was just easier to continue. But part of that decision depended on there being a viable master's program. And I think the university offered plentiful opportunities, not just in psychology, but I was looking at business as well, the School of Business and Economics. I was even looking at some biology-related degrees, but they were a bit too far out of reach in terms of application criteria.
So you were not eligible for these?
I don't think so. They were more neuroscience related, but I definitely didn't have the criteria for them because they required biology prerequisites.
Yes. So you would have had to maybe take that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It would have maybe been possible.
Maybe, yeah. In a summer course, there are
exactly.
I was looking into that option as well. There was lots of summer courses available to try to get extra credits. But in the end, I stuck to social influence.
That's also a new master's degree because I can't imagine that it's too old.
No, this one is relative. Well, it's not that old. It's relatively new, I would say. But there's a lot of tracks. So there is a sports science master's degree. There is a research methods track. There is a...
Within the social influence master's?
No, sorry. This is all types of masters. They call them master's tracks, basically. Okay. So they lead on from the general psychology bachelor, and then you do a 1 or 2 year master's.
Was it a 1 or 2 year for you?
Yes.
It was 2 years?
It was 1 year.
One year.
Yeah.
So in 4 years, you had bachelor and master's.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's always confusing to students because some undergraduate degrees are 4 years long. If you look at Scotland, it's 4 years long. If you look at Spain, many places, i.e. University, ESADE, the Barcelona region, it's 4 years. In the US, it's 4 years. And in 4 years, students just have a bachelor degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here in 4 years, you have a master's degree.
Yeah, 4 years, it's master's.
Yeah. So there's 3 plus 2, there is 4 plus 1, but there's also 3 plus 1, which is I guess the quickest way to get there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was not something that was just easy to do. 1 year master sounds quick and easy, but it was definitely more, I would say, almost as intense as the bachelor. It was a continuation of what I had already done in the bachelor's, but even more independent. The master's, there's no hand-holding anymore. You're responsible for your own product, basically.
Would you say in the bachelor degree you had a bit of hand-holding? They were actually looking after the students, or there was already a big difference from high school?
Oh, well, there is
because there was a lot of hand-holding in high school.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of hand-holding in high school. I mean, I had...
Not for you, because you were very independent, but some students...
Yeah. No, the master's was more... you're given the knowledge and the material, and you have to try to use it for your advantage. And the focus again was on the master's thesis at the end of it, and the internship. The internship was a very independent phase.
Was it like a summer after the end of the master's, or was it like a throughout the year, weeks a week study or week work?
For me, I was doing it while writing my thesis.
Okay.
So there is different combinations you can do. But yeah, it was the last semester.
So what was that internship in?
I was doing it at Procter & Gamble in Geneva. So I went abroad, actually. There's opportunities to do it abroad. How did you
find that internship?
Yeah, it was intense as well.
Yeah.
Procter & Gamble is a very big consumer goods company.
And sometimes students are worried because they're like, is the University of Amsterdam a big enough name? Like, is it...
Yeah,
it's very well recognized everywhere,
right? Definitely. It got me to Procter & Gamble. So
in Switzerland. So it's
in Switzerland, yeah. I mean, for me, it was helpful because I'm also Swiss. So it was also nice to go back. Helped. But no, it was on merit of the university as well, definitely. it was an intense internship. It was a different world to university. That was one of the reasons I wanted to do this.
After 4 years, I'm sure you were ready to
definitely
yourself.
to try this.
Yeah.
And no, it was lots of different experiences. I got to really work on my applied research skills and stakeholder communication and all these things, and really being in a business environment. That was the biggest change. And then having to come back and to reflect on it at the university was also nice, because I got to integrate what I liked the most. Was it a more academia-focused career or a more applied business-focused career? And in the end, I went for the business-focused career, which I am in now.
So would you say that your career now, so you're 2 years in, right? Is it quite aligned with what you study, you would say? Or because I always tell students, don't worry too much. You can start with law, then do business. You can start with psychology, then do business. You can start with economics, then do business, and end up in similar roles.
Definitely.
Afterwards. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, in my company, there's lots of different backgrounds. I work in a market research company, and there we use a lot of the skills that I have previously learned at university. I would say the bulk of it comes from statistical and analytical skills, but really being able to think critically, of writing in a research, in a structured way. These were things that I could only consolidate in psychology, I think. Business, of course, would have helped, or a marketing degree. These are different ways to get into my field as well.
That gives you specific strength.
Yeah.
You're probably the guy that has that, that lens of looking at how do people think and react.
Exactly.
When someone will maybe have a lens that's a bit more business.
No, yeah, and we shape our teams on projects to have different people with different expertise. So, when you go into a company like this, you won't find one type of person. It's very diverse. So, yeah, I would say that definitely prepared me for where I am now. Yeah.
Okay, and so why did you choose to, when you finished your master's, did you decide I'm only going to look at the job market in Amsterdam, or did you think I could go anywhere? Do you think you could have, I mean, you had an opportunity in Switzerland, so it showed that you could have probably gone elsewhere to work. So how was that process?
It was the option for me to stay in Switzerland. I didn't take it because I think, again, going back to the reasoning of why I wanted to do the master's, was to stay and continue the flow. I don't like massive amounts of change, so I wanted to stay constant in one flow.
You had a lot of change in your life?
Before I did.
And you wanted to kind of ground yourself in a place and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. That's correct. I mean, I was moving every 4 years. I come from an expat family. Yeah. Exactly. So I wanted something stable, and I wanted a place to call home in one place for a long time. So now 5 years here in Amsterdam, it's already starting to become a stable home. Yeah.
That's very interesting. That maybe some of you heard about third culture kids, which are these expatriate children that move a lot and speak multiple languages and have multiple passports. And then you can have two outcomes. You have the outcome of the TCKs that want to ground themselves and say, okay, now it's time to build roots and to be a bit more stable. And I feel like I need that. And you have some others that keep moving and that can stay in one place.
So. Exactly. Yeah. So I think I'm that first option now. So it's really, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've learned over the years. And I'm still grateful now for what I'm learning here, because there's always something new in Amsterdam to learn. So yeah.
It's an exciting city.
Definitely exciting. I mean, I don't see myself here for my whole life. That's for sure. I want to move again, but I need to be able to set up my career in a stable way. So I think that is the perfect way to do it.
That's what you're doing now.
Yeah, it's what I'm doing.
So where is your family? Where do they live?
My mother is still in London with my sister, and my father lives in Switzerland, and my brother as well.
How was that, studying in a different country than your parents? Did they fly to see you? Did you fly to see them? Was it difficult? Because you always have that question of, oh, what happens if in first year you have, a low mood and you're not feeling good? And within Europe, it's kind of still easy to move.
Yeah, I'm lucky because it's Europe. I think I compare myself to my girlfriend because her family's in Singapore.
Oh, wow.
And so that's, 14 hours
I know.
flight away.
I've done it many times.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
But no, it is challenging. It's definitely kind of, for me, I took it as a sign, okay, it's time to be independent, and it's a sign you won't be able to see your parents as much anymore. But no, I made the effort a lot to travel more. In my case, yeah, to London and then to Switzerland. You try to line them up with your own holidays, and at some point you make it happen, definitely. It's difficult at the beginning. It always will be, I think. There will be an aspect of a homesickness, let's say. But no, after a while you get used to it and you make a flow out of it. And sometimes you say, okay, during the summer I will be here, and during the winter I will be there, etc., etc.
Right.
It works out in the end, I think. Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit more about the student life in Amsterdam? So the University of Amsterdam is not one campus, is it?
No.
So and as you said, you were living in a kind of a hotel rented for students. Maybe how far was that? And some students feel like they need a campus, like a closed campus, where everything is on site. And some of the students feel like they want the big city and they want campuses like UCL or LSE, where you're in the city, or University of Amsterdam when you're really in the city. Would you say, how would you describe that experience?
Amsterdam student life is vibrant, very, very full of opportunities and lots of things to do. The student hotel itself, was in the west of Amsterdam, so a bit outside of the city center, let's say. And there was a campus feeling there. So there it was like maybe, let's say, 3 buildings with different students.
A few hundreds.
Yeah, there was hundreds of students there. Different floors as well. So on my floor, I was sharing a kitchen with, I don't know, it was 10 other people. And yeah, you meet people like that. So I met my girlfriend who was like, I think on the 4th floor, and you have parties around the campus. And then there are also shared events with the university, so they interact. There was also another student hotel that was actually central. So there is the option for you to be more central in the city as well. And then otherwise, I mean, going into the city and experiencing student life is extremely easy. You just pick up the bike, you go to Rembrandtplein, and there is always something for students there. Student cards get you everywhere for free entry, for lower prices. In that sense, it's like London, I would say. It's very much like London. There's a really welcoming focus on students.
So you still feel like you really got the chance to know your fellow students and to develop your network and to...
Definitely. Yeah.
Good. Because I know some students struggle with that. And it's also how you approach it, right? I think taking a student accommodation the first year is very smart.
Yeah.
When I see students are like, oh no, I want my own flat, these student dorms, they're disgusting. Then they struggle, because then you go to class, if you're a bit shy, you don't interact, and you go back to your room by yourself, and you're not in a student environment where you're kind of forced to go out because everyone is in the corridor partying and chatting. And so that really, really helps. And when I see students that struggle at university, usually it's because they haven't found their people. And they feel lonely and they feel disconnected, and then everything becomes a struggle, and studying becomes a struggle. And so it's such an important part to have a strong social network.
I agree. No, it's definitely enabled here in Amsterdam, I have to say. And the campuses as well are set up in a way, I think they are very social and very, the libraries are plentiful, the canteens are there. The facilities are I think, top notch, really are. I don't have a comparison that much because I haven't been to other universities studying. I know my dad works in a university in Switzerland, and I would say their facilities are, okay, if my dad is watching this, he probably won't like it, but
don't say the name.
No. University of Amsterdam is perfectly set up, I think, for the student life. Yeah.
Do you, we're going to come close to the end here. Do you recall the application process? I know
to university.
Yeah, it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was, what would be your advice for we have grade 10, grade 11, grade 12 students on the platform. What would be your, how did you experience that? And
be nice to your counselor.
Very important.
No, I think the biggest takeaway for me was be communicative. So really take your chance to talk to everybody that's involved in the process. Of course, your counselor, but the universities that are involved, make yourself aware of the opportunities that exists, of the application criteria, of what type of programs exist. Really do your research. I
keep saying that to my students. Do your research.
It's super important because without that, you won't know what you're getting yourself into.
It's not just about getting in.
No.
It's about knowing where you get in so you can thrive when you're there.
Exactly. Right? No, you don't want to end up in a place where you thought maybe this is cool, but it's
because it's highly ranked and it looks cool.
No, the rankings are really the first superficial layer that you can look at, but it's not something concrete. You need to look at the modules and who the lecturers are, what their background is. Dig yourself into the alumni networks as well of the universities. Chat to people who have graduated. I know now I'm involved in lots of alumni events, and students love talking about opportunities and what I've been up to in university. So I can only recommend that. Really do your research and be in front of it, basically.
Yeah, it's not the most fun part of it, but that's why through the platform, we're going to try to make that a bit more fun with our videos every week and with live sessions like these. So that's a great piece of advice here for our students. Great. Is there anything that you think we haven't covered or anything else you want to share?
Come to Amsterdam. It's a fantastic place.
Yeah, the Netherlands is definitely a hotspot. I see more and more interest. We had a bit of a slowdown last year because, and I know I went on a tour where I toured like 10 universities here, and we were not allowed to post on social media that we were there because they were not technically allowed to promote international recruitment. So that I know that scared a few families and students who were like, "Are we still welcome?" I think nothing has changed.
No,
everyone is still very much welcome. It's just the housing situation that's a bit tense.
I think so. I think maybe that's what's exacerbated it a bit. The housing situation is maybe scaring universities, but I don't think that's true. I think there is definitely a trend of increased housing now. There is ways that students are getting houses other than just to the universities. And I think landlords in Amsterdam specifically are aware of that. So no, I think it will resolve itself. I think it's not any different to, for example, London housing situation as well, where prices are through the roof. No.
And so do you feel like you can, as a new graduate from your master, fresh out of college, do you feel like Amsterdam is too expensive to live and it's difficult? Or is it the salaries are kind of high enough that it's okay?
I wouldn't say it's too high. I think especially if you have support of your family as well, you're not going to be suffering in this market. You will have a place to stay that is okay and is nice. But you should look towards, of course, getting a salary.
But I mean, as someone that works now, it's okay.
Sorry. As a graduate working now, sorry, No, totally fine. I'm finding it easy to find places. The recommendation I have to give is be aware of the market, know where to search properly, and
ask the uni, I guess. They're going to be the ones directing you.
They know a lot about that, and they have all the resources for that. So, definitely communicate with the uni a lot about that.
All right, great.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much, Nathan, for your time. Sorry for giving you the wrong address earlier.
Oh, no.
It's so cool to have this conversation. I think I'm going to enjoy these podcasts because I get to see my old students and what they became, and it's great because we work quite closely together, right? When we back in high school, and they disappear. And so it's good to see you again.